Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and welcome to a 2v2 custom scenario in Total War Attila, the Siege of Hadrian's Wall. I hope you guys do enjoy, and if you would like to see some more custom scenarios and custom maps, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. But without further ado, let's take a look at these army comps. The first attacking army on the battlefield today is the Caledonians, commanded by the Red Celt, and way outside of the forest where most of his troops are hiding, he has a couple units of Celtic Warband, and they're a cheaper unit, tier 1, but they are pretty solid in melee. They've got good armor-piercing damage and a good charge bonus. Then way over here, he's got 2 units of Scathless Teachers kind of out in the open. Now, the brilliant thing about these Scathless Teachers is even though they are out in the open, they are completely hidden. They are almost hidden until you are right upon the enemy, so it can be pretty terrifying to not see them until the last second. But if you take a look at their stats too, really solid melee attack and melee damage, and charge bonus is really good for an infantry unit. So once they actually get into melee, they just carve up the enemy. But the rest of his forces are hidden over here in the trees. On his 4 siege towers and his 2 rams, he has Caledonian Axemen, which again are really good shock infantry units. He's got a lot of Hadrian Brigade right behind that. I believe 10 units of these spears. And I think there's an opening over here for you to kind of see how they look. So they are mostly all hidden in the forest at the moment, but we will be able to see them later on in the battle as well. For his ranged units, he's brought 6 units of the Highland Archers, which is a light bow infantry, pretty solid. And then we have his best infantry at the very back alongside his general. He has 5 units of the Fianna, I believe. 5 or 4? Yeah, just 4. 4 units of the Fianna. And then he's got some more of the Caledonian Axemen in reserve. And then finally his Celtic Noble General at the very back. And over here on the flanks as well, he's brought a couple units of Mortimer Cavalry, which is probably one of the only melee cavalry units that is so solid in Total War Attila. I usually would always go for shock cavalry, but in this case, the Mortimer Cavalry for the Celtic tribes are very good. But that is it for the Red Celts forces, so let's go ahead and take a look at his ally. The second attacking army on the battlefield today is the Picts, commanded by Tattoos and Welding, and he's also brought 2 units of the Scathless Teachers as well. You can see that they're hidden in the tall grass here, but the rest of his forces are hidden in the right-hand side forest, and he's got some good tier 2 infantry in the front lines here, 4 units of the Celtic Warriors, which are tier 2 heavy melee infantry, and they've also got some chevrons as well. We do have some cavalry here, just like the Red Celt. We've got 2 units of the Mortimer Cavalry. Behind that, we've got some Celtic bows for the Picts, 6 units of them. And then we have some Pictish swordsmen, again, tier 2, pretty solid as far as their stats go, 55 melee attack and 50 melee damage, so they almost mirror the Scathless Teachers as far as melee attack and damage goes. But look at that charge bonus. I believe that the Scathless Teachers were an 87 charge bonus. These are only a 37, so you can see how much of a good shock infantry unit the Scathless Teachers are. And we've got some Pictish Axemen in reserve alongside the General's Bodyguard, which is a followers of Morrigan. And I believe that rounds out their forces. Each one was allowed to bring a catapult as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at the defending armies. The first army tasked with holding Hadrian's Wall in this battle is the Western Roman Empire, commanded by myself, and I tried to be pretty historically accurate with the types of units that would have been garrisoning the wall at that time, and I highly doubt that it would have been very heavy infantry. There would have been no Praetorian Guards, none of the classic Roman infantry that we would have known. They probably would have been more levy units or cheap garrison units that basically just added bodies to the outpost. So with that in mind, I've brought a lot of tier 1 units with a couple of tier 2. I've got 4 units of Scholae Gentile, or Scholae Gentiles, depending on how you want to pronounce it. But this would have represented the cavalry detachment that the garrison would have had. So very light shock cavalry. They've got good charge bonus and a lot of speeds. They would have been able to maneuver within the city with relative ease. And for my spearmen, I've brought, I believe, 6 units of the Comitatense spears. Again, pretty lightly armored. They've just got a helmet and chainmail, and then a spear and a shield. So again, pretty levy-like. They are tier 1, but they do have, it says excellent armor, 53 armor, so hopefully they will be able to hold in the choke points. And for all of my sworded infantry, I've basically just brought cohorts. Very, very cheap units. Look at that melee attack. 14 melee attack. They do have a decent amount of melee damage, but again, basically just bodies to put on the walls. They do have a good amount of missile damage too, because they all come with a pila that they can throw before going into battle. For my archers, I brought 3 units of Elite Ballistarii, which is the crossbowmen that you can get as the Western Roman Empire. And then over here, I've brought 1 unit of the Sagittarii, which is a very light bow infantry unit. And far over here on this side, I've got 2 more. So 6 units of archers total, and then 8 units of cohorts with 6 Comitatense spears, and 4 units of cavalry. Now, I do have some units way over here. This is going to represent a reinforcement force that comes in the later stages of the battle. Should the need arise for the Romans to have more troops, I do have 4 units of Elite Palatina and 4 units of the Herculeane Signores, with a sub-commander over here that's just a Equite Promoti. And that pretty much rounds out my force, so let's go ahead and take a look at my ally. The second army on the battlefield today is, of course, the Western Roman Empire as well, and it is commanded by Joe Onnet. And he's brought some more elite infantry than I have, but he does have some good garrison infantry as well. He's brought a few units of the Palatina here, the Elite Palatina, which is medium melee infantry, tier 2. And then he's also got a couple units of Legio, which is kind of like cohorts. They are kind of the same style as far as the shield and sword goes, but they've got a little bit better stats than mine do. And then he's also brought some Preventores as well, which remind me of Iberian units, so it's possible that these are units that were levied from the Iberian tribes and trained to fight in the Roman army. Way at the back here, he does have some cavalry as well. He's got the Master Militum, and he has 2 units of Cataphractii, which is the heavy cataphracts that Rome had in the later stages. He's also brought a couple units of Sagittarii, which is out on the field here. And then we have some cohorts, which are the cheap garrison units, and he's also brought some of the Limitane border guards, which are a classic unit that would have been present in this siege battle. More units back here, the Legio. About 5 units out here with some more Preventores, and then he does have some units inside the settlement as well. More cohorts, more Limitane border guards, more Preventores, and more Elite Palatina. And that pretty much rounds out his force as well. So I hope you guys really enjoy this battle. Again, if you want to see more of these custom maps, just let me know down in the comments below, and I can see if we can get some up on the channel. So as I said, without further ado, let's get to this battle. Alright guys, welcome to the battlefield, and as you can see, we have a Roman patrol that is arriving to find that the outskirts of Hadrian's Wall is ablaze, and they are going to pick up their speed to see exactly what has happened, but the Romans should have realized that this was not a mistake. The buildings were set alight on purpose by some of the Celts to distract the 600 Roman patrol, and now they will be in a perfect position for an ambush. You can see that the Celts are moving in right now. The Romans are not sure where they're going to turn. I think they are going to decide to face this way and form up just in time. Come on, boys. Oh, they're not going to get the Testudo in time, and there we go. We have the Celtic warband charging in on the one side, and unfortunately for the Romans, we do have the Scabus teachers charging in on the other flank as well. You can see a lot of the Romans in the rear ranks were falling to the Scabus teachers. Now, it is going to be a pretty framey battle, guys. There are a lot of men on this battlefield, 22,000 to be precise. And you can see that the Celtic onagers, which are already firing down onto the Hadrian's walls itself to try and open a breach point for the Celts to flank around the Romans that are holed up in behind the wall. We've got some more Celtic units that are being committed from this side as well. You can see if we zoom into the Romans, they are completely surrounded. And what a framey mess this is, but we do have the Scolae Gentile, the elite cavalry for the Roman garrison at Hadrian's Wall, have moved forwards. Let's go ahead and actually put this into slow motion so we can see the charge on the Celts, and it looks like the Celts will respond. We do have the Celtic warband from the Red Celts, who is playing as the Caledonians, forming up over here, but let's go ahead and put this into slow motion. This is going to be a very juicy charge indeed, but what an explosive start to this battle. Very, very cool battle indeed. You can see that the Roman buildings are singed as the flames finally die out, and what a nice charge there onto the Celts. Over here as well, we've got more of the Scolae Gentile charging into the backs, actually, of the Celts, so that is really good for the Roman garrison, getting some really nice charges onto the lightly armored infantry. But we do have the Mortimer cavalry closing in as well. You can see that they are hot on the tail of the Scolae Gentile. Let's actually jump into their point of view as well as they move across the battlefield. More of the buildings are being set ablaze as well. A couple of the buildings that are close to the ones that are already on fire are also catching alight, which is going to be a problem for the Roman defenders, because the more damage and settlement destruction, the more morale penalties and debuffs to the melee attack and melee defense of their units. So not ideal, that is for sure. Now it looks like we do have a counter charge from the Scolae Gentile into the Mortimer cavalry. Now the Mortimer cavalry is one of the only melee cavalry units that I would bring to the battlefield. Usually the rule of thumb is that melee cavalry is absolutely atrocious, especially compared to the shock cavalry. The melee cavalry will beat shock cavalry in a 1v1 in melee, clearly, because they're melee cavalry. But at the same time, a lot of times in Total War Attila, the shock cavalry gets so many kills on the charge that the melee cavalry can't just make up the numbers. So that's why I always say shock cavalry trumps melee cavalry. However, the Mortimer cavalry are very, very good. And unfortunately for the Celts, they can't actually bring any shock cavalry to the battlefield, so it's kind of their only option. Unless you want to bring the skirmisher raider cavalry, but they are pretty atrocious. But just look at this battle. We have the artillery firing in the background on Hadrian's Wall itself. You can see the singed and smoking buildings of the outskirts, and we've got an all-out battle here just outside of Hadrian's Wall. Really, really epic. Unfortunately, a lot of the Romans did die there. It was, as I said, about 600 men in that patrol, and they have been completely annihilated by the Celts. Very, very few Celts lying dead on this battlefield. It's mostly the Romans. Those poor Limitane border guards. But I mean, a few did escape, I believe. We've got some scattered troops that did escape, I believe. I'm hard pressed to find any, though, in this mess of a battle. But yes, it isn't too long. It's about half an hour, so hopefully you guys do enjoy. It is a custom scenario or a custom map, which can be found on the Steam Workshop. If you guys are interested in playing it, I will try and remember and leave a description down below. But take a look at my cavalry here. 114 for this unit, 82 for that, and 86 for that. So not incredibly effective, but still did a decent amount of damage for cheap shock cavalry units. Some of their units are quite depleted here. You can see the Celtic warband not looking to be in the strongest shape. However, they are some of the cheapest units for the Celts that have been brought to the battlefield. And here we go. It looks like we do have some returning fire from the Bastion onagers here. This is Joe Onnet's onager, but this wall is being focused down here. So what the Picts and Caledonians are thinking is that if they can put a hole in this wall over here, they should be able to use these siege towers and actually flank the keep of Hadrian's Wall, because attacking these two sections is almost suicide. We've got two towers here with a gate, we've got a gate with a tower over here, we've got another tower over here, and we've got good choke points to be able to utilize our crossbows effectively. As I said, I brought some elite ballistarii, and Joe Onnet's actually brought some Ravenna elite ballistarii, which is extremely good crossbow units. So having them in choke points or just below the walls, they'll be able to rack up a ton of kills on the lightly armored Picts, and Caledonians for that matter. And speaking of lightly armored, we've got all of the Caledonian axemen on the siege artillery right now, or on the siege towers, my apologies. We've also got the siege rams moving up as well. There are two gates here, so they could potentially put one ram to either gate. and break them both down. Will be a bit of a risk, though, because they will be getting boiling oil poured on them as they do charge through the gate. So with that in mind, again, having another choke point to get some towers around to this side will really put the pressure on the Roman garrison. Unfortunately for me, too, I had all of these units hidden right behind the walls, but I don't know how it happened because they're pretty close to the walls. They must have ricocheted off the top and then fell onto the unit, but you can see all of these scorched Roman bodies here. Absolutely disgusting. So yeah, I lost quite a few men there. You can see I've got my cohort unit with 96, and I believe I brought the other one over here, which only lost 5 men. Not too bad. Maybe Joe lost some of his unit. Or no, it might have been some of my archers that I actually lost. But I need to get my archers off this wall. There we go. Some of the archers falling to their deaths there. Not ideal. Yes, quickly getting my Sagittarii off the walls there before the wall does actually get destroyed. And I was extremely lucky that that one missed because this wall is at 98% damage, so I would have lost over half my archer unit there. Let's actually watch from this point of view too. Some of my cohorts actually might be killed as the Great Hadrian's Wall comes crashing to the ground. Oh no! One of the archer units falling to his death. That is so unfortunate. It was only one guy left in the unit. Of course, you know, he was like the super nice guy too that you see in all the movies where all of the units are running by and he's like patting them on the back like, come on, you can do it, let's go. And then he's like the last one out trying to get down the little gateway there, and then he just gets absolutely killed as the wall just crumbles underneath him. So, a couple of F's in the comments for that hero of an archer there. But we do have some of the units moving forwards from Joe on it. He's got some of his Comitatense spears. Oh, and I think these are some of my Limitane border guards that have escaped. So 4 of them, these are a lucky 4 bunch here. Out of 160 men, 4 of them making it back across Hadrian's Wall. But here we go, we've got the Limitane, or sorry, are these Limitane border guards? Yes, they are. So we've got some more border guards from Joe on it forming up in this choke point here. And we've got some Celtic warriors from the Picts charging to this massive choke point, 3 walls abreast. They're going to hopefully conquer this choke point, and then that will allow them to get their siege towers through this gap, as I've said before. Just quickly looking over here to see how things are going. The Caledones are slowly closing in here. It looks like we do have the Ravenna Elite Ballistariae focusing down the Highland Archers. However, I'd much rather that the Ballistariae focus down the Caledonian Axemen here. We need to make sure that they don't have any infantry units getting up onto this wall. Come on, boys. Fire, fire, fire. Also over here, I do have my Bastion artillery. Oh, no, it was destroyed, unfortunately. It did take down one of the siege towers, though. I was focusing it down as best as I could, and I finally managed to take it out with one final shot before it was burned down by the Highland Archers. So it does look like a couple of siege towers for the Red Celt are going to make it up onto the walls. Well, let's take a look at the Caledonian Axemen here that are pushing up this ramp. You can see all of the units in reserve that the Red Celt will have. But yes, mowing down those Caledonian Axemen. Come on, Romans. Yes, slay those Celts. Make sure they don't get those rams to the walls. Don't let them get it to the gates. Focus them down. Excellent work. Let's quickly rush over here and see this battle unfolding. Now, this is exactly what I wanted for my units here. You can see that I formed up my cohorts way below the actual rubble of the walls. That's so that I can allow my Sagittarii to fire into the Celtic warriors unimpeded, so they're not going to be obstructed by friendly units in front because they are much higher than the Roman units are. And look at this here. Let's go ahead and put this on slow motion because I want to see the Roman commander here fighting off this giant of a Pict here. Or a Pict, sorry. Come on, slay this Pict. Caught him down. Yes, looks like he may do the deed. Come on. He's driving him way, way back into the ranks of his own men. The Roman... Oh, yes, there we go. He takes down the giant. Well done, Roman. Well done. So we've got a pretty heated battle there. Unfortunately, he was actually just taken down as we pulled away, but I want to see these towers getting to the walls, and we are absolutely just in time. I am quickly moving forwards a unit of cohorts here to block the Caledonian axemen that are going to be coming down onto the walls here. Let's go ahead and actually see this fight. I managed to get my archers out of here just in time as the Caledonian axemen were reaching the walls. And after we are done taking a look at this quick wall fight, I will give you guys a man count update to see how many Romans are left on the battlefield versus how many Celts. Zoom in a little bit further so we can see, as they're coming off the walls, the Caledonians just hammering into these cohorts with brute ferocity. There we go, a couple of the Celts are falling. Oh, but you can see just in the background there a Roman being slain by a Caledonian axe. And this is just a disaster for the Romans. My cohorts are desperately trying to hold on, but just the brute strength and ferocity of these Caledonian warriors is unmatched. So let's take a look at the man count here. We can go ahead and put it on play. Only 20 minutes left in this very brutal battle. 9,000 Romans on the battlefield versus 10,500, so it's very close, the man count. You could see they started with a 1,700 man advantage, or a 1,500, and it is just about the same, so we're matching them man for man right now. And here we go, Joe is pushing in his Limitane border guards, which is excellent. My cohorts are starting to waver. Not the best morale on these guys, but again, the Sagittarii just able to fire right up and over. Such superior positioning for them. They're just able to get excellent shots into the Celts as they push forwards. Well done to Tattoos. He's not pushing all of his units forwards. He's being conservative with them. I think that's a good idea. You don't want to tire too many of your men out too quickly. Although he has thousands to spare, so I guess it isn't a huge deal. Let's go ahead and zoom back into the battle. When I'm seeing some of my cohorts starting to run away, and I'm not sure, but we might actually have some Scathas teachers in the mix here. I'm seeing the blonde-haired women just slaughtering the Limitane border guards like they were nothing. Pushing their way in. And actually, we've got some more cavalry over here, too. Oh, yes, he's actually going to sneak through this little gap. Let me take a look at where the units are being placed. Yeah, so we've got the Preventores here, trying to stop these units from pushing forwards, but the Mortimer cavalry do have a little bit of a way to sneak forwards here and just sneak around. Maybe he will be going for my archers. Let's take a look and see. Again, just firing as much of their ammunition as they can, and now that they are off the rubble pile and fighting on level ground with the Preventores, you can see that my archers from time to time are starting to get obstructed. But here we go. Let's go ahead and see what's going on from the Sagittarii point of view. The great Roman tower looming in the left distance there. But through the trees, I do expect to see the Mortimer cavalry charging forwards. Yes, look at them breaking from the trees and charging headlong into my Sagittarii. Thank goodness that I had actually already used most of my ammunition, though. And a couple of volleys onto the Mortimer cavalry as they do charge in. Yes, a couple of them being absolutely riddled with arrows, but a bit of friendly fire there as well from my other unit of Sagittarii. This guy actually fighting with 3 arrows in his shield, and he had some kind of lance through his shoulder. Very epic. I love the slow motion in Total War Attila. Oh, this guy shot with a flaming arrow and then fell off his horse. I hope you guys saw that as well. But I'm seeing some more cavalry charge forwards in the distance. I'm not sure if this is a whole second unit or not. It might just be the remainder of this unit. But let's go ahead and see what's going on. Yeah, they've used up their ammunition, so I'm not really too fussed about them getting hit. But how are we looking over here? Some Caledonian axemen have broken, which is excellent. This one is a little bit surrounded as well. But now we have this unit here that is just landing where the Ravenna Elite Ballistarii are. And they still have ammunition, so I'm hoping that Joe gets them off the walls here as quickly as he can. Come on, get the Ravenna Elite Ballistarii out of there, Joe. And same with me, too. I think this is my cohort unit, and it's not even turning around. Yeah, look at this. They're not even paying attention. I should have committed that into the Caledonian Axemen. There we go. Joe noticing first, getting his Ravenna Lead Balistari out of there, and me charging in my cohort unit. And here we go. A little bit of a glitch here with the gates. For some reason, because I have my Comitatense spears formed up here, the gates actually will not close. But there we go. This gate has been broken open, and now the Celts will be charging through the gap here into my Comitatense spears. Ravenna Lead Balistari trying to get through the ranks of the spearmen. Very good, very good. Let's take a look at how everything else is going. Yet my Sagittarii over here have used their ammunition. But again, with the Highland Archers too, most of them have used up their ammo as well. Although it looks like the Red Keltie does have a couple units in reserve. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Oh, yes, so Joe over here with his Cataphractory running down the Mortimer Cavalry. But we are losing this engagement very, very quickly. You can see that the Preventores and the Elite Palatina are pretty much surrounded, fighting on both sides at this point. And again, fighting the Scathis Teachers. The Scathis Teachers just rip apart anything that they come up against. Let me just put it on slow motion here for you guys so we can enjoy a little bit more of this action. There we go. So that it's not too framey for you guys. There we go. Some of the giants, some of the Celts being taken down by some very brave Romans that are way in behind enemy lines. And oh no, it looks like we've got the Preventores actually breaking. You can see them turning with their shields and running the opposite way, leaving the Elite Palatina alone. And that actually leaves some of these Elite Palatina completely surrounded. You can barely see that Roman unit, the Preventores unit, that is trying to escape. And there we go, he's lost his head. But then some crack shots from the arrow towers taking them down as well. Let's just take stock of this dead scene here. Well, scene of the dead, I should say. Not dead scene, but like just look at the amount of bodies here. And all of these bodies on the rubble are Celts, because we deployed farther down so that our archers could get all of the shots that they needed, utilizing their ammunition. There's a couple of scattered Romans there on the lower half of the rubble pile, but just so many dead. Very, very good, but is it enough? That is the thing. That is the question. Taking a look here at the man count, 7,600 to 9,100, so still about a 15-man advantage, or 1,500-man advantage, I should say. And Joe hiding his Cataphractory in the forested area here. Let's see if they can get any good charges later on, if the Picts do forget about them. But here we go, we've got an all-out commitment from the Cateran Brigade and the Caledonian Axemen, desperately trying to capture the gatehouse over here. So they've already pushed in, but again, that boiling oil pouring down upon the heads of the Celts as they do charge in must be terrifying. And we've got some more units being committed over here because I believe my Comitatense spears were starting to waver. And I think we have another siege tower being pushed over here as well, so I think I have another unit of my cohorts up on this wall. Oh no, that's actually my my archers. I need to get them out of there. And how are we doing in the center? It looks like we're doing pretty well. I think some of the Caledonian Axemen were pushing down to flank my spearmen because they have already broken. And we do have the cohorts over here, but yes, we've got some more Celtic spearmen charging down the slopes, or sorry, charging down the siege tower onto the walls. And I don't have any more units over here. It's kind of bad news bears for these crossbows. But thankfully, the spears are going to push over here and flank these cohorts. Or maybe not. Maybe they're actually going to come this way. It's hard to tell what they're going to be doing, because they're a little bit glitchy as they do come off the siege tower. But over here again, the Red Celt just storming through on the walls. I've sent in my Sagittarii to just stem the tide so that they don't actually have access to get down off the walls. But my Sagittarii are not going to last for long. We've got some more units being committed here, some elite Palatina. This is where some cavalry would really come in handy. Maybe if Joe had his general to come and get a side charge on these units as they charge through the gates. But that is all hindsight. But just look at the amount of men. I remember looking at this site here when I was fighting the battle and just feeling so crestfallen. Imagine being a Roman and like fighting desperately. You're covered in blood. You just killed another massive Celt on the wall, and you just look over and you see like thousands of Celtic warriors that just are sitting in reserve. They haven't even been used yet. More of your buildings being torched. It's just got to be such a morale breaker for these Romans who are desperately holding Hadrian's wall. Now, this is the amount of picks that were able to get through behind the wall, so you can see that they are pretty damaged, and they got to be careful not to be in range of the arrow towers because they will take unnecessary casualties. But we do have 2 units of fresh Mortimer cavalry over here as well, and the siege towers are able to cross the rubble pile. So this is the trump card for the Caledonians and the Picts. They won't have to just struggle with these 1.5 walls anymore. This opens up 2 full walls for them. Actually, it pretty much opens the entire keep for them. So they could put a tower on this wall. They could even put a tower over here, maybe capture this gatehouse. They could flank a tower all the way around and put it back on this gatehouse if they wanted. But with that in mind, I think the general retreat has been called. The Roman commander who's back here has called all of the units to get inside the keep ASAP. There are no more Romans, or sorry, there's no more need for any Romans to be outside the keep because basically all of this now is hostile territory. And the terrifying thing is that the Romans probably had a lot of their families just, you know, a day's march down the road in undefended villages. Now that Hadrian's Wall is open, this is like the gateway to the Roman Empire. So, intense stuff. Really puts it into perspective what these Romans were fighting for here. However, they kind of were the ones who were the invaders, so I'm sure the Celts who used to roam those lands when they were boys, it's probably sweet justice for them to finally take back their territory. The Romans were extremely oppressive to the Celts when they took over the kingdoms, forcing... Well, I shouldn't say kingdoms, because they kind of squabbled amongst themselves. It was mostly just rival clans. But forcing a lot of the younger boys to join the army as auxiliaries against their will and whatnot. And high levels of extortion and, like, overburdening tax rates and whatnot, so... As far as the Celts are concerned, I would imagine they think this is just getting even. But now we've got the elite Palatina in the mix as well. You can see that they are desperately trying to hold this gatehouse, but we do have these Scathis teachers right in the front lines. We've got some more units charging forwards as well, and it looks like we will actually lose the towers here now that the gates are being captured. Let's actually watch as the towers start to crumble. And just as the elite Palatina break, the Caledonians capture the walls. And there we go. Yeah, look at this, just charging right through the Romans. We do have a second line, though. Joe Onid has got a couple units of Limitane border guards forming up, but they're not going to last too long. He does have another line of Limitane border guards here. Oh, he's actually committing them in. Well done. Just trying to keep as much of the fort under our command as possible. Over here we have a very depleted unit of Caledonian axemen, actually wavering my almost full unit of Comitatanse spears here. Oh, but they're getting rained down with arrows. Let's actually take a look at that here. This is a good fight. You can see actually some of the arrows embedded in the Caledonian axemen's shields. Oh, that guy got an arrow in his head. Insta-kill. But look at this. They just will not break. They're holding strong. There we go. Another Caledonian taken down. Getting a lot of friendly fire too, though. We probably should have been a little more careful with this. I think I'm killing a lot of my own men. But let's actually zip on to the other side and see what else is going on. So yeah, the whole host of Picts are behind the wall now. You can see they are forming up their Celtic bows into a massive line. And we have a line here of Pictish swordsmen, followed by a line of Pictish axemen. So if you thought that the Caledonian axemen were doing work, and that they were pretty depleted, think again, because there are like 6 to 8 units of Pictish axemen just waiting for their chance to get their axes bloody. Let's go ahead and put it back onto play here. We've also got the followers of the Morrigan. This is the Pictish commander in behind the wall. Probably very sweet to be behind Hadrian's wall, finally. And of course, we've got the Red Celts general, the Celtic noble unit, in kind of commanding the frontal assault, whereas the Pictish commander is commanding the rear assault. But yeah, it's pretty desperate over here, as you can see. The Caledonians are pretty much just steamrolling us at this point. Balance of power slipping even further out of our favor. You can see that it's 5,800 to 7,900. So the man count gap is only 1,100 now. So we are significantly losing at this point. And just look at the shower of arrows coming up from over the walls and raining down onto the Limitane border guards and the depleted cohort units. We do have some Ravenna Elite Balistariae and some Elite Balistariae here formed up, though, trying to get some good shots into the Caledonians before they can commit. But this is a disaster. Now we've actually got the inner keep settlements starting to go alight, and 40% of the settlement is damaged, which means we have -7 morale, -7 attack, and -7 defense. Not looking good. If we take stock of what we still have, we do have a lot of archers, which is good. As far as infantry, though, we've got some Preventores, we've got some spears here, we've got some Legio on the wall facing the Picts. And Joe, I think he does have some more Preventores over here and some Elite Palatina. He's got some cohorts here as well. But at this point, it's dire straits. We're sending in some of our Sagittarii over here just to kind of stem the tide of spears and swords that are coming up onto the walls and then down into the keep. And the Picts will be assaulting very shortly here. I'm assuming, yes, they are moving forwards their towers here. And just look at the amount of Celtic bows that are coming up to the walls. I want to see just one massive volley here, up and over. Come on, boys. There we go. We've got some return volleys from the crossbows as well. And look at that, we've got another tower going down. So it looks like the Caledonians were able to capture the gatehouse. We've got the Pictish swords quickly moving in as well. They probably will be able to go through the gate now at this point. And yes, there we go. The Ravenna Elite Balistari focusing them down, taking quite a few down before they reach the walls. But the siege towers looming up the slopes here. It's actually amazing that these guys are able to get these siege towers up this type of grade. But they are. And look at this in the distance. You can see that we do have the Roman reinforcements finally arriving over here. There we go. We've got the Herculeane Signores. We've got the Elite Palatina rushing to the back gate. I don't think they were expecting to see the Pictish army inside Hadrian's wall. Probably hasn't had any Celts or any Picts and Caledonians behind Hadrian's wall since it was built. So this is probably very terrifying for the Romans indeed. But here we go. You can see that the Mortimer cavalry have seen the reinforcements and are going to try and cut them off so that they do not reach the keep. But this is where my sub-commander here makes a bold and daring decision and actually sacrifices himself to stop the Mortimer cavalry from committing and stopping these very important reinforcements from arriving at the keep. So he's basically just thrown his life away for the chance that the Romans could get reinforcements. And the battle rages on. And the followers of the Morrigan over here, the general for the Picts, has quickly sent a detachment of Pictish axemen and Pictish swordsmen to run them down and stop them from getting to the keep. But if I was Tattoos, I would have taken one of these units of Mortimer cavalry and tied up the Equite Promoti and then used the other Mortimer cavalry to stop them. But I'm extremely thankful that he did not do that. And look at this. All of his units are being sent over here to deal with the reinforcements. The followers of the Morrigan is all alone. And look what has come through the trees here. Completely unawares, the Pictish general is charged in the back by some Roman cataphractory. And this is going to be a tough charge. Yes, look at this. Throwing over half of the unit to the ground. Oh my goodness. Where is the general, actually, I wonder? Should be able... Yes, this is the general here, I believe. This one right here with the circle shield. So he is engaged in melee with the Roman cataphractory, and we do have a second unit coming here over, to assist. And look at this, we've just got an about face as all of the units turn around and come back to defend the general, who has already lost 60 men in his unit. We do have a couple of units that are still in hot pursuit, though. We will take a look at them very shortly. But look at this, we've got a huge fight over here on these walls as well. We've got the Ravenna Elite Balistariae caught in melee against the Celtic spearmen for the Picts. Oh man, just look at this battle, guys. This was such a cinematic battle. More of the structures being lit ablaze. This beautiful building here is going to be burned to the ground. I'm sure that the Caledonians and the Picts want to make sure that there is nothing left of the Roman society when Hadrian's Wall is conquered. And I think it's pretty inevitable that it is going to be conquered. Balance of power looking even worse than when we last checked it, and I'm waiting for the game to update the man count here. Here we go. 4,200 Romans to 6,800, so it's still pretty close. Still pretty close, but not close enough, I don't think. We're throwing in a lot of our crossbow units now just to hold them until these reinforcements arrive. More camera shake as some buildings come crashing to the ground. Oof. Roman losing his head there. Let's take a look at how the reinforcements are faring. Yes, it looks like most of the picked units have broken away. They realize that they're not going to get to the reinforcements in time. And we've got my Equite Promoti here, who is finally wavering. And yeah, we've got the Mortimer Cavalry. One of the units did break, but now it's going to flank around the Roman commander here. And unfortunately, he will die on the battlefield. Such brave Romans, allowing the reinforcements to get to the keep, but sacrificing himself in return. And if those reinforcements don't reach the keep, there is absolutely no chance that they can win. And I think that the Roman commander here made a calculated decision for the good of his people. But it ultimately means that he will not live to see the result, whether the Hadrian keep can hold or whether it will fall to the Picts and the Caledonians. And here we go. Look at this, guys. Look how close this is. You can see that we've got the reinforcements over here. Look at the Roman farmer, just like, ah! She's like taking off, trying to rush away. That is too funny. She is out of here. But yeah, the Romans have just started to arrive. They are already exhausted from their march, which is going to probably affect their actual battle effectiveness. But we have the Picts very, very close at hand. I'm just waiting for them to arrive. You can see some of these riderless horses running through here as well. And we've got one of the units of the Herculeani Signori have broken off and are going to form up, because that's only part of the reinforcements. You can see way to the left that there are still more reinforcements that need to get inside the settlement, and they would not make it in time. So again, the Herculeani Signori make a calculated decision, and they are going to sacrifice themselves to hold these barbarians back until the remainder of the reinforcements can get back into the settlement, because look how many are still left. So let's go ahead and see the form up here. We've got the Herculeani Signores going into their famous testudo formation, bracing under impact from the Pictish axemen. Here they go, charging in. They're going to have a ridiculous charge bonus. Hold, Herculeani Signores, hold. And please do not break until the remainder of the reinforcements can get into the city. There we go, holding very strong. Actually, we've got one of them that has managed to find its way behind the unit, and now he is actually fighting the Herculeani Signores commander. So let's see who's going to win that engagement there. Oh, maybe he's broken off. Ooh, a couple of more are starting to flank around as well. Come on, kill him.
Enemy units have returned to the battle.
Well, I don't want to sit here for too long. There we go. The reinforcements finally starting to come in, and I am basically just sending the reinforcements right into battle. So you can see that they are probably pretty exhausted. Yeah, they're very tired, the Elite Palatina, but the Roman flag is going to start to drop here soon because we just do not have enough units in the town center. Over here as well, the Limitane border guards are struggling. You can see the river of Pictish axemen and swordsmen that are pushing through the gates. Luckily, we still have the gatehouse, though, so a lot of them are kind of taking damage from the burning oil. Well, let's go ahead and put this back onto play. 3 minutes left in this battle. It is not looking good. I don't think the reinforcements are going to be able to get here in time to stop the Hadrian's wall from falling. Legio being committed now as well. More buildings kind of falling down in behind us, causing that camera shake. And oh no, there we go. The Western Roman flag is starting to be lowered. Hold, Romans. You can see that Joe desperately sending his Legio into the mix as well. I'm quickly pushing my Herculeani Signores into the mix as well to try and stop the Picts from capturing this and the Caledonians, but they just have too many men in here in the town center. They're going to capture it. And look at this, we've got 2 fresh units of Cateran Brigade moving in as well. So as far as the Red Celt is concerned, I mean, he's pretty depleted. All of his archers have used up their ammunition, and this is pretty much all that he has left. He has a couple of units, or actually those are Picts. So he's got his 2 units of Cateran Brigade, but that's pretty much all he has. So he definitely sacrificed a lot more than the Picts did. The Picts kind of were able to take an easier approach, breaking through the walls with relative ease, and now they are conquering this side of the keep. But there are many units still in reserve. Unfortunately, the Cataphractory were not able to kill the followers of Morrigan as well. You can see that the general is very much alive. And the Herculeani Signores unfortunately did break, but they did return just in time to throw a couple of Pila into the Pictish swordsmen. And I've actually got my Elite Ballistariae up on this wall, firing down onto this big blob of Picts, axemen, and swordsmen. You can see them all sitting here. I think they were trying to capture the gate, but they just couldn't get in. And that would have actually been a huge disaster if they did, because we do not have any units here to hold them back. And just look at the river of men here. Let's go ahead and actually put it onto slow motion once again. A minute and 32 left in this battle. And just look at the amount of men here inside Hadrian's wall. Absolutely crazy battle. Some more of the men just coming in to engage the Legio. Looks like the Legio might actually be breaking because they are charging through the ranks there. I've got my Elite Palatina over here as well, but because they are very tired and because they already captured the town center, there just isn't much hope of them being able to push them back. Maybe if we had a little bit more time, maybe if the reinforcements had arrived a little bit earlier, but who knows? Who knows? Just look at all the men here. Absolutely crazy. And I think the general is engaged against some Picts that have come off the walls, some Celtic spearmen. So yeah, the Picts are trying to capture this gate. They're actually attacking the gate. It's only 8% damage, though. But they did push some units. Oh, no, did they? Or am I still firing? Yeah, I might actually still be firing. But, oh yeah, they do have some Pictish axemen over here slowly capturing this gatehouse as well. And unfortunately for me, my Herculeani Signores and Elite Palatina have been surrounded by the Celtic spearmen. There's just too many men. Too many men, unfortunately. Oh, another duel over here. between the great, massive picked warrior and the elite Roman. Come on, you are the finest that Rome has to offer. You are a Herculeane Signore. You cannot lose against this barbarian. Oh no, the Roman comrade being thrown down. He might be able to get back up here, though. I think he is going to stand up. Oh no! Don't 2v1 him. 3v1 him. Come on now. Okay, we've got another Roman coming in to try and even the odds here. The third Roman is standing up as well, so this... Oh, wow. From behind. From behind, you coward. This Roman needs lessons on how to stand on his feet, too. He keeps being thrown down. It's too funny. But let's just get an overview here of the battle. I believe it is almost done. 32 seconds left, and then the Picts will have captured the town center. Crazy, crazy battle. Let's take a look actually at the man count here. And there we go. They've just captured the final gatehouse behind there, and that will allow the final Picts that were waiting outside the keep to actually get inside. And what's the final man count here? Yeah, so it's like 1,500 to 5,400. So now the man count advantage is just huge for the Celtic alliance. Such a brave fight from the Romans, but unfortunately it is just not to be. And there we go, guys. A valiant defeat, but the Western Romans were driven from Hadrian's Wall. Let's go ahead and take a look at the end results here. So yeah, 10,200 deployed here, and I believe it was 11,700, something like that for the Celtic Alliance. Looking at my Limitane border guards, these were the ones that were ambushed. They got absolutely slaughtered. The other spears didn't do too bad, but not great. The cohorts, absolutely garbage. The Herculeane Signores, 96, but the rest of them not as good as they should have gotten. These are expensive units. They should have gotten more kills than that. These are the Elite Palatina, my apologies. But the Herculeane Signores, the same story. Very expensive units, and they should have got more kills. The Sagittarii, these two, I believe, were the ones that were at the wall when it was collapsing, so good kills on that. 269 on the Elite Palistari, 157 and 98, so really good there. And the cavalry did pretty solid. Even the sub-commander, 73 kills on the Mormor cavalry. Looking at Joe Onnit's force, really low kills on the Limitane border guards, but they are cheap spearmen, so that's to be expected. Same with the cohorts. The Legio actually performing decently well. 74, 61, 88, 60. That's pretty good. And his Elite Palatina did excellent. 158 and 139, 127. And look at the kills on the Ravenna Elite Ballistari. 364, 219. That's why we capped it to only 2. Instead of each of us bringing 4, so 8 total, we probably would have won the battle, because they just get disgusting amounts of kills, especially against the lightly armored Celtic armies like this. And again, with the Cataphractory, 215 kills there. Looking at the Red Celt, his Cateran Brigade, some of them getting insane amounts of kills. Really, really good. Same with the Celtic Warband there at the beginning. They did slaughter a lot of my cheap Limitane border guards, but again, really high kills. Scottish Teachers, 213, 171, no surprise there. But the Fianna, also very, very good. Just mowing down my units. Some of the Caledonian Axemen did not perform too well, but I think they were the ones that were kind of shot down as they were moving the rams and towers forwards. But once they did make connection with the Romans, they racked up kills. No kills on the bows, and not too many kills on the Mormor cavalry. And finally, looking at the Picts, again, Celtic Spearmen doing really solidly. Scottish Teachers, 383 for that Scottish Teacher unit. That's really good. His Celtic Warriors doing pretty solid. 363 on one of the Pictish Swordsmen. And regular kills on his axes, but you can see how healthy a lot of his units were. They didn't even see battle. Look at this unit, 123 kills and, 20 losses? And he actually did much better with his Celtic bows, and his Mormor cavalry doing pretty solid as well. So that is the Siege of Hadrian's Wall, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. Be sure to let me know down in the comments below if you'd like to see any more custom battles, and I will leave this battle in the description if you want to try it out for yourself. If you do want to get a replay of it, just be aware that you cannot... You cannot deploy your units in the beginning phase. You have to click Start Battle right away, just as if you were playing the Medieval Kingdoms 1212 mod. If you press Start Battle right away, then then deploy your troops after it starts, then the replay will work. So just a little tidbit for you there. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching this battle. I really hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this in the future. And as always, I will see you in the next one.